And we are live. Just going to hang out here for a minute. It's not quite 5:15 and let people hop on. It's going to hang out. Getting started, getting ready to go live. Letting people know what's happening. Getting ready. And I know people will be popping on as we go on. If you are on, I cannot actually see who is there. So if you are watching and you want to like type in the comment box, let me know you're there. And I also want to know you guys can hear me. So I see one person is watching, and if that person can type in the comment box, that would be super helpful. Is this working? How does this sound? Waiting. Two people are watching. If you just signed on, type in the comment box that you can hear me because I want to make sure that things are rolling. Sounds good. Hey, Stephanie, good to see you. I really wish this thing told me who was signing on, but it doesn't. So today we are talking about fear, and I want to say welcome to everyone who is either watching now or will be watching later on. Hi, Sarah Lynn. Oh, I love both of you ladies. This is great. If no one else shows up, this is still fabulous. So, welcome. We're going to be talking about fear. And before we hop on, I'm going to turn on my little recording device as well. Give people a few extra moments too. Boom. All right. Awesome. So, this is a call that's all about fear. And I want to introduce myself first. I know you ladies already know who I am, but we're going to do it again. So my name is Megan Taylor Morrison. This is my group. Welcome. And for those of you who don't know me as well, I am a professional coach. I'm the CEO and founder of Dance Adventures. I'm a multipreneur. I love business. I love coaching. I love traveling the world and dancing. Like these are all things that I love. And I especially love supporting people in moving through their fear and creating the things that they really want in life. It's one of my biggest passions because quite frankly, I spent a lot of years letting fear stop me. So I live in the Dominican Republic. That's one of the big results of moving through my fear is actually getting to choose the place I want to be, even though I wasn't quite sure why I was moving there. Another story for another time. But I'm currently in Seattle, meeting some clients, hanging out, going to my college reunion, having a great time. And in short, I fucking love my life. So for almost a decade, fear stopped me from starting down this path. Some of my favorite fears were I'm not good enough. I don't know how to run a business, so I'm going to screw it up. I'm unlovable. I don't know how. I'm selfish. I'm incapable. Like if you can name it, it was probably a negative story that ran through my head. Over the course of 10 years, you can have a lot of different fears that are circulating for you. And yeah, it just went on and on and on. So full disclosure, of course, like I'm giving this course on fear, and I love talking about this because it's not something that you ever conquer, and I have not conquered it. I still get really scared sometimes, and I'm committed to consistently up-leveling my life. And for any of you who are tuning in, what you probably know is that when you go to up-level your life, fear pops up. We are biologically programmed to be afraid. It's really important. Like when we were living in caves a long time ago and, there was a saber-toothed tiger, we needed our fear to keep us out of, dangerous situations. So we're never going to get rid of our fear, spoiler alert. And the thing that can change over time as we do this work with our fear and with ourselves is that we can learn to show up in the face of our fear. So that's the good news. And fear is pretty normal. It's just part of our resistance, and it actually is a sign that we're on the right track. So if you notice that you're afraid of something, as long as it's, you can reason with yourself, like, is this something I really want? If the answer is yes and you're afraid of it, it probably just means you're on the right track. So it's a really good sign and a good indicator when we're working on up-leveling our lives. And fear doesn't have to be a dirty secret, and it doesn't have to control us. So we're going to look at fear from a few different angles on this call so that we can start to work with it. And it doesn't get to keep us from the things that we really want. So digging into that, for those of you who are here, there's 5 of you here. Carl, oh my God, I love Carl. Go ahead and type in that chat box what you really want. Maybe it's for your business, maybe it's for your personal life. I want to know, what do you guys really, really want? Tell me, tell me, tell me. There are 5 of you here, so I want to see at least 5 responses, enthusiastic responses. Consistency with action. Preach, Carl. And as a reminder for those of you who are tuning in, interacting with this talk is really going to help you retain the important lessons. So as adult learners, we need to be interacting with material to help it stick. So, please interact just to keep me, feed me so I can see what you guys are saying and throw in additional bonus material. And feed yourselves by interacting such that you're remembering things. Stephanie says, to get out of my own way and quit self-sabotaging. Preach. Totally. We don't want that. For those of you who are on, owning your story and your values. Hey, Carmen. To get involved in travel retreats as a photographer, videographer, leading my own trips and creating creative content for my clients. Carmen, I'm going to contact you after this because I have an opportunity for you that might be fun. So perfect, thanks. And if you're signing on, we're typing in the things that we really want in this chat box. Awesome. And so now for those of you who are willing to share, please type in some of the fears that get in your way. Maybe it's, what will people think? What if I get too big and alienate people? What if I fail and alienate people? Maybe it's more specific, like my wife is going to leave me, my son is going to hate me. What are the fears that are actually holding you back from getting what you want? A steady stream of clients. Preach. Fear of haters. Haters suck. It's one of the universal truths of life. Haters just suck. That I'm a fraud. I know that one well. Cool. Haters super suck. Yeah, they do. Yes. And they're so real. Perfect. Thank you all for your courage in sharing that. And for those of you that are still typing, feel free to keep sharing. Fear of losing time. Oh, yeah. Fear of losing time is real rough. That there isn't a market. Oh, there's always a market. There's always a market. And it's a real fear, right? Which can stop us from finding the market or actively creating it, which is some of the things that we have to do. If we're a bluefish, that's the term, like new in the market, got to go create the market and do a lot of education. So perfect. All right. So thanks again for your courage and sharing. And before we talk more about this, I want to highlight that I'm going to do a little special offer at the end of this call. I'll only offer it for 10 minutes. It's going to be super exclusive. So if you're interested, stay on and grab it right at the end. All right, so fear. The other myth, which I already touched on, is that fear will go away, because it never, ever, ever will. And that is not disheartening. That is actually great to know, because if you're waiting for your fear to go away, truth bomb, it's not going to. And all we can do is practice compassion in the face of our fear, learning to work with the fear, and actually creating the freedom for ourselves in the face of the fear, such that we can move through it and continue to create. So, this conversation is devoted entirely to fear. And I'm going to share about fear from a few different angles. I'm going to take you guys through a couple of exercises dedicated to help you feel your fear, do it anyway, honor your fear, since it's really real and it needs to be honored. And if we don't honor it, it has a way of paralyzing us, like keeping us stuck. And fear gets to be at the steering wheel while our commitments get to be in the back seat, right? Which does not work. And we're actually going to move through this pretty fast on purpose. And if you guys are willing, go ahead and chat your answers in the chat box. If this feels like more personal questions, you can just write them down. And the first question I'm going to have you answer is, what is the fear-based story from your past that is blocking you? What is the fear-based story from your past that is blocking you? So for me, my fear-based story came from when my dad started traveling a lot. And even though he was a great dad, he came to my, soccer games, he coached my soccer team, my little kid brain came up with this story like, people will leave you, you're not safe, you have no control, and you're unlovable. And that's the story that was created that's still with me today in my deep, dark moments, or when I'm just thinking about leveling up in some way, that story shows up. So what is the story from you guys? Yeah, Carvin, totally. It's that fear of releasing control and what might happen when we do. And fear of not good enough. Yeah, super common. Super common. So again, as you guys are sharing, what is the fear-based story from your past that is blocking you? We're starting now with the past and addressing those past stories, and then we'll move in also to present fears. Stephanie says, I'm not healthy, well, good enough to help other people be healthy and well. Yeah. And think about like the moment that was created, really present yourself to that moment. Yes. Can't commit to things or hold commitments down. Yeah, Sarah Lynn, totally. Never being good enough. And also that your value is based in performance, right? Like when you're not performing, you're not valuable or not performing to some standard, whatever that standard happens to be. Yeah, Carl, so real. Fear that you'll disappoint or let down your family. It's one that's like really close to the heart. All right, next question. In what ways does this story hold you from stepping into your power? In what ways does your fear-based story from the past stop you from stepping into your power now? Yeah. Writing yourself off before you start. Oof. Seriously blocking momentum. Yeah, Carvin. It stops me from taking the chance at opportunities that could lead me to bigger and better things. Preach. Yeah, it's like when we're trying to maintain and like focus on maintaining, like and keeping that need for control and like making sure everything works. Like it's really hard to give ourselves the space that we need to up level. Yeah, setting that bar low. Fear will definitely have us set our bar low. A lot of self-doubt and sometimes hold me back. Yes, stops you from making me overthink what actions I need to take. Preach. Action is like For those of us who second guess our action and get caught in inaction, it's like any action, go, go, action, action. For other people, like the doers out there, doing more is not necessarily the key. But yeah, if you notice that it stops you from taking action, that'll create some stagnation, no matter who you are. Cool. Next question. How does fear stop you from serving others? I know some of you on this call and how powerful you are and all of the cool stuff you have to offer. How do you see that your fear stops you from serving others? I know for me as a coach personally, one of the biggest things I do for people is support them in actually hiring me, which often drives up their fear. And if I go in and I'm afraid, the chances of them hiring me go because I don't actually take the risks and stand for them and reflect the things that they need to see. And sometimes people have that breakthrough in a sales call and they're like, whoa, holy crap, this is a great way to set the tone for the coaching relationship. Yeah, Stephanie, totally. I wonder what you would do with all that energy if you totally trusted you were good enough. Wonder what you would hear and be able to co-create with that client if you were fully present. Yeah, Carmen. Sharing your creative gifts to help others in their own pursuits where they could use your services. Yeah, like you've got a product that could really help people build their business. Like I know from running my international retreats, like having a video, having photos, like that sells the retreat. Next question. And keep typing if you guys are typing. Keep going, keep going. How does your fear make you compare yourself to others? How do you notice you compare yourself to others when you're in that fear? Hmm. Thanks for saying it, Stephanie. What we own, we can move through. What we resist persists, and what we own, we can move through. All right, next question. If you guys are still working on it, keep typing. How do you begin to judge yourself and your work? How do you begin to judge yourself and your work or your worth if it's not business based? Yeah, we have to own our value first before other people will see our value for certain. All right, take a couple seconds to finish up whatever you're writing. Throw it in that chat box. For those of you who just signed on, we are digging into fear, digging in. digging into those fear-based stories that don't serve us, the not good enoughs, the I'm not worth it, the things that really stop us from getting in the way of powerfully showing up for what's next in our lives and owning the crap out of it. All right, guys, finish it up. Finish it up. Put it in the chat box. All right. So finishing that sentence, putting the period on that sentence. I want you all to close your eyes. Close your eyes. And think of that fear story and how it holds you back. Notice what it feels like. What do you feel in your body? And where does that fear live? So notice how it feels, what shape it takes. Maybe it lives in your throat or your stomach or your chest. If you imagine it, like, what does it actually look like? Is it spiky and black? Does it feel like a big beach ball? Like, what does it look like for you? You don't need to type about this. I just want you guys to really feel it. And be with that fear. It doesn't need to go away. It just gets to be real. You get to have your experience of it. There's nothing that needs to be fixed. It's just your time to be with the fear. And really note how it feels to be with this fear. Maybe as you sit with it, it expands, or maybe it starts to lessen. Whatever it's doing is totally okay. But allow yourself to focus on it. Take a few more deep breaths, really allowing yourself to be with this fear, noticing if your mind is wandering, pulling it back to being with that fear and the way that it feels in your body. Leaning into it. And we're intentionally making this long because we typically feel our fear and back away. So this is your opportunity to really be with it, honor it, get to know it. Notice the stories that emerge as you really sit with that fear. Notice the things that it tries to tell you. Again, if you notice your mind wandering, pull it back. Breathing into that fear, allowing it to be there. And 3 more breaths with the fear. In through the nose and out through the mouth. Directing your breath to the fear. One more breath. When you're ready, opening your eyes. When we avoid the feeling of fear, we stay stuck in the addictive patterns that hold us to where we were and not where we are going. We stay stuck in the addictive patterns and ego behavior. It keeps us where we are, keeps us trapped, keeps us making the same decisions. And by just getting comfortable with the feeling, not that it has to feel good, but just normalizing it, being with it, you can really free yourself from the the trap of the fear. You can free yourself by being trapped from fear. You can start to train yourself to feel it and do it anyway. So I want you guys to remember this. This is one exercise, is really feeling your fear. And now you know where it lives. You know what it feels like. You can bring it back when you need to bring it back. I'd be curious to know from everybody, like, where does your fear live? Yes, Carvin, felt tightness, confined, restrictive around your chest, a horrible weight. Yeah. What else did people feel? What did you guys feel when you were leaning into that fear? And hello, Eric. I've heard people say that their fear lives in their stomach, their throat, their head, their heart. Where did it live for you? Yeah, Jonathan, and welcome. When there's a tightness in the throat, Carl, it symbolizes that there's something we're not expressing or saying. So I'd be curious to know what that is for you. Oof, that's a vivid picture, Stephanie. Felt like your head was severed. Yeah. Mm. Good work, guys. Really good work. It's hard to feel the fear and intentionally choose to be with it because we are so programmed to push it down, get rid of it, move through it. And now that you've sat with it, I want you guys to really consider what it feels like now on the other side of being with it. So describe in the chat box the relief you feel from this exercise. Describe what it gave you access to by really being with your fear. What did it give you access to? I know the first time I tried this exercise, I just cried and cried and cried. It was really intense, but it was really amazing. And feeling that fear and not pushing it away, what did you gain access to? Nice, Carvin. The bravery to stare it in the face and not be determined to not let it push you around. I love that. Nice, Carl. And for those of you that are still writing, feel free to continue writing and commenting in the comment box. And we're going to do one other exercise around fear. Yes. Jonathan feels more real and tangible, like I know where it is. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. Nice, Stephanie. Good. All right. So the next exercise we're going to go through is for these fears in the moment, like what to do. You've been with the fear, you've felt it, and sometimes that's just step one, right? Like sometimes just feeling the fear is not going to transform it. Sometimes it will. Other times, like you need a little more. You need to scrub it a little bit more. So this next exercise, I just thought of this, but I'm going to go ahead and do this next exercise live, which is a little edgy, but cool. And I'm leaning into vulnerability as part of my coaching breakthrough and part of my access to power. So I'll just go ahead and do it for you. Cool. So this next exercise is called a fear clearing. And in a fear clearing, we're going to go through a few different steps that are designed to help us gain facility with our fear. So the first step is to name the fears and the complaints that are in your space. So for me, I'll share a fear that's come up in my romantic relationship as of late. So I'm afraid that my relationship won't work out. I'm afraid that I'm wasting my time. I'm afraid that this person that I really love might go away and I might be left all by myself. And I'm afraid that I would have to start over. And I'm afraid that this vision that I had for our kids, like maybe I'll never get to meet those kids. I'm afraid that, that the life I've been envisioning isn't actually possible with him. Complaints I notice are like, he needs to show the fuck up. Like he's not doing some things and I need him to do those things. I think that's all I've got. So the next step is to say, thanks, Stephanie. That's what I've noticed about me being vulnerable is it often serves people. So again, this is around my romantic relationship, and I'm looking at fears and complaints. And the next step is the things that I make it mean. So I make it mean that I'm unlovable. Oh, there's that core fear coming back again, that I'm helpless, and I've got to write these down. So I'm going to put them on my box. I'm unlovable. I'm helpless. I'm ugly. I make it mean I'm fat. That I'll never like, or that like, what is it? Things I make it mean about me. That I'll never get married or be in the right relationship. And those are the things. So you list your fears and your complaints, and step 2 is, what do you make it mean about you? Like, what are you making it mean? Looking at that, we then get to go through and say, are these facts or interpretations? And typically they're going to be interpretations, because if we look at it on a sliding scale, for instance, I'm unlovable, like, is that a sliding scale? Because if so, like, it's not a fact, right? It's totally an interpretation of where I fall on the lovable scale. So I'm unlovable. That is a interpretation. I'm helpless, definitely an interpretation. I'm ugly, interpretation. I'm fat, interpretation. I'll never get married or be in the right relationship, definitely an interpretation. Since this might be the right relationship for me, right? Like sometimes we have a lot of fear around things that are really good, which our relationship is. Next thing, is this empowering or disempowering? And clearly these interpretations are disempowering. So final step, who do I choose to be? Who do I choose to be in this situation? And for me, like what I see is I can choose to be compassion. I can choose to be compassion, and I can choose to be partnership. So again, what I've just done here is really cleared my fears, all of the fears, listing them out, saying them. This is what's true for me. Looking at what I make it mean about me. Listing whether they're fact or interpretation. Saying, is this empowering or disempowering? Pretty much always disempowering. And then choosing who I want to be. Not what I want to do, but who I want to be. And then from that being, I can choose what I want to do. But the being comes first, because we can do things from resentment, or we can do things from trying to perform, or we can do things from our fear, which just perpetuates the fear. Or we can really choose who we want to be in the face of the fear. and act from that place. Fear clearing exercise is a beautiful, beautiful thing. All right. So if you guys have any questions about the fear clearing exercise, go ahead and type them into the chat box. And as you guys are doing that, I'm going to share my special offer. So I am, in my practice, the way I run it is I've got like a 3-hour intensive I'll do with people sometimes, especially if they're like, should I do coaching? Should I not do coaching? So 3-hour intensive. And typically I charge $250 for it. It's just a way to get your feet wet. And for those of you who are here who have stayed to the end of the call, I'm going to offer you a big fat 50% off of that 3-hour intensive, but only for the next 10 minutes. So you've got to schedule it in the next 10 minutes. And I'll go ahead and throw it into the chat box so you guys can grab it. 3 hours with me, you'll write in the application that links to how you want to spend your 3 hours, what you want to do. $150 is like one hell of a deal for 3 hours of coaching and digging into your fears one-on-one. But I wanted to make it really accessible for you guys because I feel like this is going to give us a nice warm up for those of you that take advantage of it. And again, just for 10 minutes, I'll take the link down after the 10 minutes is up, but you can grab that offer now. So that's it for tonight. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for having the courage to dig into your fears and sharing this time with me. It's been a real joy and a pleasure to be here with you. And do feel free to send any questions about the fear clearing exercise or the exercise we did earlier around feeling your fear. And you can find me here or you can private message me either way. Have a great night, guys, and thanks again.